All right, good morning, everybody. This is Jamie Dolan, Director with Correctional Industries. It is 9:00 a.m. Just wanted to say welcome to the first meeting of 2025 of the Correctional Industries Advisory Board. I believe we still have a couple of members joining, so we'll give it just another minute or two, and then we'll get started. All right, thank you for your patience again. Good morning and welcome to the first meeting of 2025. So again, Jamie Dolan, Director of Correctional Industries. I just want to notate in the minutes that it's 9:01 and officially calling the meeting to order. So I'm grateful for everybody that's here today as we continue to discuss correctional industries and the role that our staff play in trying to provide innovative solutions and workforce development for the individuals that choose to participate in our correctional industries work training programs. So today, we did send out the agenda for today, but again, we're going to discuss some strategies. We're going to discuss our programs. Please, if you guys have any questions throughout the discussions of our operational updates, don't hesitate to raise your hand. Just a couple of housekeeping items that I wanted to share. Again, the chat is not monitored during today's meeting. Just a reminder to please stay muted unless you're speaking. Our open forum on the agenda is at 9:45. So wherever we're at during today's meeting, we will pause for the open public comment section of today's meeting. I am excited to share that in addition, we do have another guest speaker today, one of the individuals that works in one of our programs from Coyote Ridge Correction Center. So again, just as a reminder on the Correctional Industries Advisory Committee, again, this is a meeting that's in statute that our goal is to, thank you, Sarah, to provide inmate work programs, and we are considered the Class 2. So before we fully jump into things, I'd like to take a minute to do roll call for the meeting. Representative Dan Griffey. Okay. Representative Mary Fossey.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Claire Wilson. Okay. Senator Matt Banky. Dr. Faith Lutz. Okay. Christina Davis. Lauren Taylor.
Here.
Thank you, Lauren. Terry Fortner.
Good morning.
Morning, Terry. Thank you. Chris Elwell.
Here.
Thank you, Chris. David Aiken.
Here.
Thank you, David. Mariana Hike.
Here.
Thank you, Mariana. And Karen Dove is not here. And Mina Long.
Good morning. Here.
Morning, Mina. Thank you. So as far as today's meeting, I do want to provide a warm welcome to Karen Dove. We have filled 3 seats on the advisory committee. So Karen Dove, she's returning to the committee. She's the executive director for ANEW, which provides individuals with training, support services, and employment preparation. In addition, serving in the general public seat, we have Lauren Taylor also returning to the committee. Lauren brings that background of work within corrections, advocacy work. She served as a statewide family council president, and also participates in private sector partnerships with a specific focus on second chances for individuals. And then lastly, serving in our business seat, Chris Elwell is also returning on the committee for another 3-year term. And as a reminder, Chris is the executive director for Sound Transit, labor relations. So Chris's role continues to expand and focus on workforce development and social justice. Chris provides strategic oversight of Sound Transit's workforce development initiatives for both construction and operations. So again, welcome again, and thank you for participating on the committee. So secondly, I would like to welcome the Department of Corrections' new secretary that's joined us here today. So Tim Lang. So Tim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. And I apologize for being a few minutes late. One of the things that I'm struggling with in this new role is the number of meetings and getting from meeting to meeting in time. So again, my apologies for that. It's nice to see everyone. In my previous role with the Attorney General's office, I had lots of exposure to correctional industries over the years and all the great work that it does. And so I'm particularly excited in this new role to see it at a new level. And I just want to express my appreciation for all of the members of the advisory board serving in this capacity and helping CI achieve its mission, and helping so many incarcerated folks learn job skills and set them up for success when they re-enter our communities. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, so jumping into the business meeting. So we did send out the updated minutes from the meeting that we held in December. So just wanted to pause and see if there was any questions from those minutes before we move forward. Okay, seeing no hands raised and hearing no questions, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Terry and a second.
Second by Mariana Hike.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so again, now we'll jump into just a high level update. And again, in the minutes and the meetings that we sent out to all of the advisory members, we did include more in-depth discussion points on all of our various divisions. So we will hop into just a high level overview and provide a brief update on kind of the status of the last quarter of our individual divisions. So again, if there's any questions or that you want to dive into things, please don't hesitate to, raise your hand during the report outs.
Good morning. So I'll start off with Braille. For this last quarter, one of our apprentices passed their manuscript and became nationally certified in the Unified English Braille. We also had a transcriber that left in January, and they'd already made plans to set up a home workstation to contract with Ogden Resource Center. And an in-house formats class was organized and it's been implemented in January, starting with 12 participants. That's some really great work and Braille and those transitional opportunities for employment again being showcased. Computer aided design. We've hired 3 new drafters in the final quarter. Those have all attended the tech design certification course through Tacoma Community College, where they learned Revit and Encompass software techniques. They're able to now take that education they received through our education department and actually put it into work experience with our computer aided design services that provides those drawings for our manufacturing, our installation services with the furniture division. We've also, as of November, we implemented the 2% drafting fee as part of our cost to the customer for these large projects. And that is showing to help cover some of the expenditures of the incarcerated gratuity, the IT, and the staff that supervise that program.
So one thing, Ryan, thank you for that update. One thing I just wanted to point out for our advisory committee meetings is our members that the really unique thing about this program, like you said, it really has that pathway at WCCW for individuals that get their tech design certification and then can go right into our drafting program. That's a real world program, and the drafting program is fully integrated with our furniture factory, which is one of our men's facilities, Stafford Creek Correction Center, where the men are building the program. And then we also have individuals from Cedar Creek that are bused here to CI headquarters, that they're a part of our installation crew. So it's really one program that's encompassed in a variety that make up our furniture division. And so it's a really unique communication pathway that's very interconnected. And I just wanted to make that clear to our advisory committee members that didn't maybe understand that. So thank you.
Thank you.
You ready? Oh, okay. Well, Steve Peterman here. I'll give a quick update. We had a really busy quarter. Last quarter with the track program at the women's facility and the CTAP program in our men's facilities. We had 9 track graduates, 15 graduates from our manufacturing academy, which was great. We issued 219 Flaggers certificates through our scholarship fund from WASDOT, our interagency agreement there. We had 50 CTAP graduates from the men's facilities around the state. A lot of programming hours, as you can see, 657 certificates issued, which is a lot. But we have a lot of great partnerships, and of course, every flagger gets 2 certificates for that. We also get some stuff from Oregon Labor and Industries because we're a registered preparatory program in that state. So a lot of certificates and flaggers cards issued. Had a great AJAC class, Manufacturing Academy at WCC, so that worked out really good. Big accomplishments there. Ian O'Boyle is going to talk a little bit about a visit his class was able to do, but without going through every line item here, we just continue to experience such great community partnerships from our folks, many of whom are sitting on the board out there. We really, really appreciate all of the community engagement that our programs get. So
Thank you, Steve.
keep it short today.
Appreciate that.
Is that my cue?
Oh,
No, not yet.
Okay.
soon enough, Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's look good.
So, food manufacturing, obviously, again, we have one food manufacturing operation, which is located at Airway Heights Correction Center, where we employ about 120 incarcerated workers that work in a variety of capacities, bakery, planning, our research and development lab. Food manufacturing, I think, as most people, recognize even in just the private sector market, that it continues to work in an environment that's volatile with food pricing. So one thing that they're continuing to do is find those opportunity buys, work with direct ship manufacturers on raw materials and trying to get ahead of some of the inflationary factors that we're seeing. So in addition to that, of course, food manufacturing is a great partner in supporting statewide food services and helping plan for large scale events. Recently, the biggest preparation that's been going on, of course, is Ramadan, which is actively going right now for 30 days, and then getting ready for Passover. So again, there's that integral partnership between the two entities that support one another in addition to supporting external customers both within Washington State and out of state. So then dovetailing that within food services, continues just to operate, serving 3 meals a day. They've been integral in working with the department on the cultural policy because inherently that they're interconnected in how we provide service to the department. Food Services has also spent a lot of time collaborating with the Department of Enterprise Services and various vendors. So our food service teams, they utilize the state contract through DES to purchase produce and dairy and, off contracts such as US Foods. But in addition to that, what you're looking at on the screen is produce that was grown at Washington State Penitentiary last year. And Food Services continues to partner on ways to continue to grow the footprint and what types of products work within the food service environment. Again, and I think I've shared this in the past, but one thing that was exciting was last year, WSP was able to produce enough produce. And as we know, produce kind of ebbs and flows when it's time to pick, it's time to pick. And at times it's more than what the facility can use before it goes bad. And so we've been able to work with our transportation division to share some of the bounty with Airway Heights and WSP and Coyote Ridge, so the Eastern Washington facilities. Again, it's not that food is able to supplant what we have to purchase, but it definitely supplements and enhances. And I know the individuals appreciate knowing that it's, some of it's grown at the facility.
Furniture branded sales. We have passed our first year-end cutoff date of March 1st. However, we continue to look at any requests from customers that are coming in that are above that $100,000 threshold. Just what we've been seeing with current budget concerns with the state and our state agencies. We're anticipating we might get some late requests as funds hopefully get freed up. So we're going to evaluate each one of those individually to see if our capabilities of meeting the June 30 cutoff date. Chandler Gillis and myself attended the Northwest Association of College Housing and University Housing Officers, also known as Northwest ACUA, that took place in Bellevue or Seattle, sorry, this year. Fred has an opportunity to meet, discuss CI products, services for campus life, student housing, and the CI program with those representatives from colleges throughout the Northwest region. It also provided us opportunity. We've been in some discussions with the University of Hawaii for residential furniture, similar to what we have done for University of Washington in the past. And that just furthered that conversation and allowed us an opportunity for them to request a sample to be sent to Hawaii for student evaluation. They're really excited about it. And if they decide to go forward, we'd anticipate it be between 200 to 300 units being a full set per year for the next 5 to 6 years. So kind of a unique opportunity.
Thanks, Ryan.
Furniture. So furniture manufacturing, as many of you know that have been with us for a while, we were able to do some equipment replacement in this last year. Unfortunately, our vendor had sent us the incorrect CNC in our wood shop. And they need to replace that for the accurate one that we had purchased. So that replacement is now on site, fully installed, all UL certifications completed. The vendor actually came on site and for the final startup and walked through some hands-on training with our incarcerated workers and staff to familiarize them with that piece of equipment. And just getting that hands-on training directly from the manufacturer is extremely valuable. That's really the highlight right now for furniture. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We report out on incarcerated individual services, which consists of our commissary program, our package programs, bulk sales program. So first, we'll start with the package program. Over the last quarter, DOC policy 450-120 was updated. That's the policy that governs incoming packages to incarcerated individuals. There were some significant changes to the policy, which have allowed some more increased flexibility with the program. So one change was the increase of the weight limit from 20 pounds to 25 pounds. The addition of the ability to add hygiene products to the food package program. So this is an effort that is not yet is in the planning stage currently. So we haven't implemented yet, but it allows us some flexibility in the offering. So there is a plan right now to evaluate the hygiene products that can be added that would be complementary but not duplicative of the hygiene products that are already offered through commissary. And then also the changes in policy allowed for some adjustments, future state if we choose to adjust the order frequency. So currently, the package program is 1 every 2 months for the current food package program. So there's the flexibility in the future if we were to say maybe offer it monthly or something of that nature. So previously, I think pre-COVID, that program was actually every quarter. So during COVID, we increased it to every 2 months. And so now we just have some additional language and policy that allows us to be more flexible and respond to the needs of the individuals should it be determined that maybe a month would be more appropriate. Also in regards to the package program, in November, there was a new property package catalog launched, and several new products were put out there that have been very well received. So there was a larger bowl, a television remote that operates off of a watch battery. So anyone who might be familiar, the remotes have historically been not allowed in facilities because they required typically a AA or AAA batteries. So this was a really significant change recently. So very positive that the universal remotes can control a couple of the different varieties of the TVs that are currently in circulation in the population. And then additionally, we offered 20 new religious oils. In November, when that catalog launched, it was the largest volume that that program has seen over any month over the last 8 years. So really significant increase for that program. In regards to commissary, over the last quarter during the holiday season, there was 16 additional items that were offered specifically for the holidays. The program adjusted some of their production scheduling around the holidays, which of course landed in the middle of the week this year. So they did some scheduling to ensure that deliveries remained on schedule regardless of the holiday season. Over the last 6 months, the commissary program has received about 1,000 product suggestions. The purchasing team does review all of those suggestions. They maintain a list of those suggestions. Several have been implemented over the course of the last several months, and they will continue to evaluate new products. Also, for anyone who isn't aware, we typically do a add one, delete one, because we are limited in our capacity in our production line, which there's a photo of on the screen. So typically it is an add and delete one. So the purchasing team will constantly look through and see what items might need to be replaced with something that, you know, might be more popular. They're constantly changing out flavors and things like that. So that's the update on Cartwright Individual Services.
And Lindsay, just on that update for those of you online, I believe our commissary, we offer right now approximately just over about 400
Yes.
unique items, and
Yes.
that covers hygiene, food, drinks.
Yeah, over-the-counter medications. There's indigent items, so things that are available at no cost. And then, foods, beverages, all those things.
Thank you.
Right, good morning. I have the next two updates, laundry and licensing, or license services. In regards to laundry, besides just the dirty in and clean out, we do have a lot of work happening in our facilities to stabilize our workforce. We have had some challenges in regards to just worker numbers in some of the facilities. So we continue to work with those facilities to gain additional workers. And with the workers that we do have, we're continuing to support their training and opportunities to go through making it work with us, and also achieve their Association for Linen Management certifications. Moving to licensing services, major accomplishment has been, we're caught up, which is really great news to report on. In relation to that, just to give some context, the production shop produced 1.1 million standard license plates, catching up all production backlogs by November 15th. This enabled the Department of Licensing to stop issuing temporary paper plates due to production delays. And there was a point that DOL was issuing as many as 10,000 temporary plates per day. So big accomplishment for us and also for them. We now hold a stock of 400,000 plates for the Department of Licensing, and do have a threshold of 275,000. If we go down to that minimum, we do have things in place in order to mitigate that. All of the specialty plates, so if you think about your WSU, your UW, your rhododendron, all those different plates, all of those specialty designs are now approved by the Department of Licensing, with the exception of the Kraken. They're going through a redesign right now, and the Seahawks one will be here shortly, but working with DOL to finalize on the designs for those. We've seen a number of bills before the legislature in regards to specialty plates. I think one thing that may help is that one of those bills is to actually put a pause on introducing any more specialty plates until 2028 or 2029, I can't recall, which could help a little bit stem the production for a little bit on all the specialty plates we do, which with the introduction of these current ones, which usually they do end up passing through, will be in the neighborhood of about 82 different specialty plates for the state of Washington, which is one of the highest in the state as far as
Our nation.
in the number of available designs to people. But really just want to reiterate, we've said it a number of times, we're just so grateful for the relationship that we've had with DOL. They've been excellent partners with us and hope to be continuing that relationship for another 100 years. So that's a report out on license plates.
McNeil Island Stewardship, wonderful shot there looking over the water towers above the old farm. So continued efforts to clean up the island, as the staff and team out there is doing, seems daily. A large amount of equipment has been sent to surplus. Some of this equipment's been out on the island since federal times. And so it's really nice to continue to see as we're bringing the island back to a more natural state. Plans have been made to add a new 25,000 gallon diesel tank near the fuel farm, and to add a 2,000 gallon tank at the end of the causeway at the dock, and permanently close a pipeline that comes down from the fuel farm. If you guys remember from previous reports out, we have worked on decommissioning the old tanks at the fuel farm. We currently are leasing a temporary tank until this project is completed. And that decommission of the pipeline, what I think is important about that is that it runs above and below ground, and is definitely aged. So just from an environmental standpoint, the ability to decommission that fully, air gap it, will mitigate a lot of potential environmental risks. So it's nice to get the support for that. The marine vessel Callahan returned from dry dock. We had to replace several sections of new hull steel and paint inside and out. The marine vessel McNeil, prior to going to dry dock, had an emergent engine replacement done. That was done while in water. Took quite a bit of coordination through a lot of the expertise on the island. That's currently in dry dock, and we expect it to be placed back in the water at the end of this month. At that time, all three of our passenger vessels will have current certificates of inspection by the Coast Guard. And one thing that I will say is we're noticing over the last few years, we've gone to dry docks and this work is being done, the scope of work's getting less and less, and really just contributing to that, to the support that we're getting, both from a budget standpoint, but also the team out there evaluating and understanding what we need to do to maintain these vessels. So great work on McNeil.
Our Arroy Heights Optical Department is continuing to remain stable. It's a solid operation. We have 57 individuals that actually work in that program, and over the last quarter, we were able to present 14 individuals with certificates of proficiency. So they have definitely gained the skills in order to continue in that program. As Todd mentioned a little bit ago, we can continue to struggle with workers, but it's because they're releasing with these training opportunities, and I guess that's a good problem to have in this operation. Over the last quarter, we experienced an increased workload because of the back to school season and our clientele. So they also had a couple of major equipment issues, electrical issues that needed to be fixed, but we were able to still complete the quarter with a 98% completion rate, and did a little bit of overtime at the facility to get that back online. The focus for the next quarter is to move some equipment and assets out of Monroe, consolidating those assets and sorting through some of that to make the most out of our current equipment and upgrade some systems out of optical.
Right, safety and risk management, and just as a reminder, this does involve all of the facilities that we have operations in. So we continue to track and report monthly accidents via the databases, and we include separate monthly accident reports with the 6 facilities that have traditional food service, along with the 5 facilities that CI oversees food service for. We do that in order to be able to track trends. That's where primarily we'll see more incidents of your slips, trips and falls and things like that. So just to get a good understanding of the trends of what we're seeing, we do include all the food services across the state in those numbers. We have ongoing collaboration with the Department of Corrections, safety and folks as well on all issues and what trends we're seeing and what opportunities we may have for improvement. And facility audits have restarted, and the next facility is Stafford Creek in April. And so our risk and safety manager will be up there performing the audit with the rest of the department's safety folks as well.
Todd, on that, I just wanted to add, because I think it's been a little bit of a while since we've shared this with the committee. So when we talk about safety and risk management, it's important to delineate that we're also talking about safety and risk management for our incarcerated workers. So equally like staff, we want to monitor slips, trips, falls, right? To ensure that we're creating safe working environments. We do have safety committees that operate in all of our operations that the incarcerated workers also participate in. And just like staff, statutorily, our incarcerated workers all have L&I insurance in the same capacity that staff do. And so, again, I just wanted to share that with the committee because I'm not sure that everybody on the committee recognizes that. And so just wanted to provide that update and context that it's both that we're inclusive of.
Tourism Delivery Division, 6 incarcerated workers received their forklift certifications. Important part, if you're not aware, these are the individuals that come out of Cedar Creek daily and work in our warehouse and our offsite crews. Alan Phelps, who's in attendance with us today, does an amazing job of ensuring that anyone that wants to have a forklift certificate and have time to get hours of experience on that, is able to receive that prior to transitioning out to the community. So kudos to you, Alan, and your team. 2 of our incarcerated workers completed their 1,400 hours of experience to earn their certificate of proficiency in the last quarter of 2024. And then with the last few months between holidays and religious meals and everything else, it really can put a bind on our transportation with shortened weeks and everything else. And usually there's a hang up here or there in scheduling and getting that done, but just through communication, collaboration, problem solving, got through it with, I don't think, any issues this round, which might be a first, that we didn't have to do a special run or an emergent run to make a delivery happen on time. So great job by the team out there.
I'm pretty sure this year there was a special run to ensure that pumpkin pies were delivered up to Column Bay last minute. Right, but that's what our, again, our transportation division, of course, they're transporting the goods and services in support of CI operations, but in support of DOC as a greater entity, and in addition to external customers. And so, yeah, thanks,
I
Ryan.
guess we have one.
Pumpkin pies are important.
They are.
And those for the holidays.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
All right, to report out on textiles, first I should explain what this slide is showing. So if you don't know, that's a fabric stretcher that's utilized in our embroidery operation to embroider logos, different things on clothing items. There's also a special one that's for hats and for different items as well. But it was a unique picture that we selected for this go round. So I thought I'd explain that first off. I do want to report out that we signed another 1-year contract with Alaska Department of Corrections for supplying their clothing, linens, and mattresses. We've also worked with the Department of Social and Health Services to procure and stabilize their orders and get their facilities on a weekly delivery schedule. DSHS is now procuring all of their toilet paper and paper towels from us for their state-ran hospitals. And there's been movement forward with DSHS for us to be their primary vendor in regards to their clothing, janitorial supplies, and hygiene products coming up. We're also seeing a lot of interest from outside state agencies in other states and also from different counties and city agencies for local clothing and uniforms. We do quite a bit of work with, for instance, the Department of Natural Resources, Parks and Recreation, and doing either uniforms or doing their logoed items. And so, so far we're seeing a solid business this year within our tech stats group.
All right, I will report out on workforce development. So in December, we held our final mock interview event for 2024 here at CI headquarters. We had 9 individuals from Cedar Creek who work in the warehouse here at CI headquarters participate. They were able to go through 2 rounds of interviews with our volunteer interviewers who were employers and local community resource folks. And the volunteers had an extensive background in hiring and interviewing, which provided our individuals with a really excellent opportunity to practice and hone their interviewing skills. There was also a roundtable discussion following each of our mock interview events. We'll have a large group roundtable where we can just talk about how the day went. The interviewers have an opportunity to just say how the experience went for them and what they thought about practicing and preparing for their eventual reentry. And then the volunteers get a chance to really build up these individuals and talk about what they saw and how excited they are to see this type of effort going on their behalf to better themselves and become productive and re-enter their communities. So a great event held in December here at headquarters. We're in the process of now holding them at all facilities over the course of the next year. So that effort is currently underway. Also last quarter, our workforce development manager and our mission and brand administrator, who are the leaders of this workforce development group, attended several networking events. They went to the National Reentry Workforce Collaborative Conference in October. And then our mission and brand administrator also attended the Washington Workforce Association Fall Conference in November. So these type of conferences offer a really great and unique opportunity for these for our staff to network and learn about successful reentry initiatives that are happening in the communities, and really find connections with local organizations, other folks doing similar work, other employers potentially who are interested in learning more about second chance, hiring opportunities and where CI can help bridge that gap between releasing individuals and employers or other types of reentry organizations. So really great work going on, just engaging with our local community.
Thanks, Lindsay. So we're actually just a few minutes early ahead of schedule. The public open forum begins at 9:45. So I just wanted to pause and turn to our advisory committee members that are online with us today. Again, I recognize that it's a mouthful. There's a lot of programs to report out on, just a high level update, and just see if there was any questions from any of our committee members. All right, Nina, looks like you have a question.
I do, thank you. I just wanted to ask about the work crew that goes out to McNeil Island and does the maintenance, repairs, whatever that looks like, and see if women, the women from the women facilities have had an opportunity to go out there, and if not, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and thanks for bringing that up. So just a little bit, so as just to share with the committee again, and I know Ryan reported out on McNeil Island. So as of right now, we have individuals, about 10.
10, but we, because we're down one supervisor,
Okay.
the supervisor hired, we're hoping to build it back up to about 16.
Yeah, so right now we have about 10 individuals that come out to the island from Cedar Creek Correction Center, and the work that they're doing
is generally working in our diesel mechanic shop, they're working in our marine shop, and then just kind of general assistance and maintenance with our grounds crew. They could be, helping with lawn maintenance or road maintenance. And so, you know, I recognize that we have a lot of women and individuals that go through the track program. And some of those skill sets would actually dovetail quite nicely. We have had a chance to kind of look into what that looks like, and I'll turn it over to Ryan a little bit to talk about that.
Yeah, so Jamie brought this to my attention. There was an interest in this or some questions about this. I had the opportunity to reach out to some folks that are much more knowledgeable about some of the policies that the DOC has than I. And one of the ones that really came down to was the transportation factor. And that we don't transport different genders together. There's also always a concern around mixing populations, especially on an offsite crew. And so with that transportation policy, when it comes to a total confinement, we're not able to transport, and that would be considered an offsite transport. So right now, we just continue working with the individuals from Cedar Creek and always try to find opportunities for women to be more involved in programs.
Yeah, and utilize, you know, the skill sets that they're
Yeah.
developing. And so I think you ask a very great question that I don't know that has been asked. And so again, I think it's worth continuing to explore. What
I have a
future state,
follow-up question, if that's okay.
please.
So since this hasn't been asked or discussed much, you know, as I was thinking about this topic in general before I even thought about, excuse me, posing the question was, you know, being formerly incarcerated myself, I'm well aware of not being able to mix genders on transport other than potentially coming straight from county jail to the facility for receiving. So I think it would be better posed if there was a possibility to share time so that
Mhm.
obviously they're not there at the same time, you know, alternating
Yeah.
weeks, alternating months, something like that. But I know that the women's prisons do have work crews that go out. And so I think that they are already prepared to do transport. So I think there'd probably be a way around, you know, the gendered question.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all.
I really appreciate that feedback, Nina. Thank you. Terry?
Hey, hi, good morning, everyone. Just a really quick welcome to the new members. I just was wondering if there would be an opportunity to share which region or area of the state of Washington our new members are joining us from. Because I would love, as always, I'm proselytizing and attempting to gain additional participation with this board from Eastern Washington, which I think is a little bit underrepresented.
Yeah, I think that's great, Terry. So, Lauren, if you're open to sharing your location.
Sure. I am in Grays Harbor County and Ocean Shores actually. But
Yeah, thanks.
I do come over to Spokane a lot because there is a program there that I support.
Perfect. And then Terry, Karen Dunn wasn't able to join us today. She's hopefully on a vacation. She's out of country, but she's located here in Western Washington. And then Chris Elwell with Sound Transit also is located here in Western Washington. So it's you and me, Terry.
Okay, well, and it's okay to tell me that I have additional work to do. More than happy to continue the PR campaign. Okay,
No, I think
thank you.
I think it's great feedback though. And, you know, again, as the advisory committee, you know, spots come open, you know, I think that's great feedback is to try to have a greater reach as well, just in terms of geographically, especially with the, you know, ability this past few years to truly be a hybrid meeting. So with that, it is 9:45. So I want to pause for a moment and see if we have anybody on the call. There's nobody here in person from the public, but do we have anybody on the call online? That has a question from the committee? Feel free to either raise your hand or just take yourself off mute. Put another minute here. Not seeing any hands being raised. Okay, with that, we'll notate in the minutes that we did not have anybody from the public join us today for today's meeting. And we'll just go ahead and move right into our next section. We do have, as I stated earlier, we do have a guest speaker, William Wasagisik from Coyote Ridge Correction Center. So Jim Nelson, are you online?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. We can, Jim,
Alright.
so.
Okay, good morning from Coyote Ridge Correction Center. We have a guest speaker today. His name is William Wasagisik. Mr. Wasagisik is a long-term minimum, or MI3 they call it. He was incarcerated in 2008, and he's going to be releasing in about 6 years. So with that said, I'd like to turn my chair over to Mr. Wasagisik. He's got I think a lot of interesting information to share with you, and he's done a lot of programming too here. So with that said, I'll turn the seat over to him. Thank you.
Good morning. So, as Mr. Nelson said, my name's Will Wasagisik. I've been incarcerated for almost 17 years now. I have been working for Correctional Industries prior to this stint for about 10 years. So I was about 4 years as a maintenance mechanic here in the laundry. After that, I transitioned to be a continuous improvement clerk. So that was a pilot program they started here in 2016. And it was designed to essentially save the state some money by providing efficiencies, process improvement, and things of that nature that would allow the shops to try to just essentially be more efficient in what they do. We did process flows, value stream mapping, all kinds of Six Sigma things. We had to go through training for that, but my friend and I became close friends during this time. Mr. Nelson was actually the continuous improvement facilitator for the state. And you might say that the three of us were kind of like Doge is nowadays. And we were seen quite similarly to them. You might even say Mr. Nelson was the Elon Musk of the continuous improvement. So wherever we went to the 4 different shops here at Coyote Ridge, and we would try to engage with the workers, engage with the supervisors, and try to find different ways to save them money, which in turn would save the taxpayers money. As you know, Correctional Industries is set up to be a savings for the taxpayers by allowing things to occur within the facilities that essentially reduce the burden on taxpayers. So I'd like to say too that my incarceration has been atypical to what you might normally see for people incarcerated in this state. I came to prison with 6 years of military experience. I'm only in this state because I was in the Army at the time in which I caught this crime. Originally from Michigan, so I came to prison with a little bit of a different socioeconomic background than you might normally see, which is part of the reason why Correctional Industries appealed to me so much. And I thought that it would be a good fit for me after doing about 4 years as doing porter jobs and working in the kitchen before it transferred to CI. So I saw Correctional Industries as a way to pay for my own commissary, reduce the burden on my family as far as money they had to send me. But I was self-motivated to do that. Some of the challenges that I see for Correctional Industries is that how do you reach the people that don't want to work and make them work in Correctional Industries? I see that as a challenge because for one reason in particular, during the last couple of years, Class 3 jobs, which are the units jobs in the units, the porter jobs, they've increased their pay rate from 42 cents an hour to $1 an hour. That brought the wage up. When Correctional Industries wages stayed largely stagnant. There was a small increase for Correctional Industries, But Correctional Industries, which is a Class 2 job, has a deduction associated with their pay. So in the units, it's well known from people that if you want to do less work, be supervised less, and get paid more, you go for a Class 3 job in the units. If you want to work harder, you come to Correctional Industries. Now, it wasn't always like that. This has only changed the last couple of years. But that's a reality on the ground here, is that people that don't want to work as the Class 3 jobs out there, and people that want to work come out to Correctional Industries, regardless of the deductions. So it may sound like I'm just advocating for more money for me, but I think that, you know, if y'all want to reach the people who don't want to work, which it should be the goal, because you reduce recidivism. A study in 2017 has gone out to say that people that work Correctional Industries have a much lower recidivism rate than people who don't work Correctional Industries. And that's because when you come out here to work, you have to deal with a supervisor, you have to learn soft skills, you have to show up on time, you learn discipline, you learn to work with other people. Class 3 jobs don't offer any of those things. So it's almost like you're trying to put money, you're paying up front for the cost of people working, but you're saving money on the back end when it comes to reduced recidivism. So that's one thing I would say about that, is that it's there's a micro scale and the macro scale. The micro scale is you got to be more competitive with Class 3 jobs. Macro scale, reaching those people that don't want to work. That's just the reality of it. So another thing I try to talk about when it comes to Correctional Industries, that what I see is that I've been incarcerated a long time, and it's getting to the point now where I'm going to start looking for, okay, I have to get a job when I get out. What can I do? How do I overcome the stigma of my incarceration? How do we overcome the lost confidence in being able to work in the real world? And, you know, workforce development does a really good job at trying to have all these programs and set up these things. WorkSource does a really good job. At CES, all these programs are great, but what I don't see is, which would be nice to see, is the mock interviews expanded to include actual businesses to come in to do job fairs at facilities, because there's people that are released directly from Calgary Ridge Correction Center that I wish they would have, you know, Amazon come up here, or Walgreens, or whoever it is, to try to potential employers and say, hey, you know, you can come directly work for us as soon as you get out. You know, here's your information. Let me take this information down, and it'd be a smooth transition, because it alleviates all of that guesswork that person faces when they get out of prison. And if CI could try to facilitate some of that and be a mesh between when you get out, you know, I think it would be a huge boon to people, and again, reduce recidivism. I'd like to also see a kind of a mentorship program. In Correctional Industries, they have leads, they have levels of pay, but they also have leads for line leads or people who've been there, they're senior workers. If you could expand that to some extent to try to have almost a hierarchy of duties and responsibilities, but I mean, it may sound scary to y'all, but give a little bit more power to some of your incarcerated workers to say, hey, maybe you should be the one that's doing the direct performance review of the people that are working on your line, in your unit, in your area, and have them be the ones that actually facilitate some of these performance reviews, because those are the ones that are on the floor doing the work with the people that are working, and they know what they're doing. And if you give some of these senior workers a little bit of leadership role, I think that would, again, add to some of those soft skills, make them more marketable once they release. I'll close on this by saying that, you know, I've seen this legislation coming through, House Bill 1233. It's the Ending Forced Labor in Prisons Act, and it seems to be passing the House. I don't think a person should be forced to work while they're incarcerated, but there's a dark side to that as well. If you're not expecting people to work, you still expect them to program and go to, you know, education, things like that. But if you're not expecting them to work, I don't know what, I'm worried about that as far as the people that don't want to work, they're going to continue to not want to work. And I see that as detrimental to their growth as a person, because essentially you come to prison to try to fix yourself. Society has deemed us that we can't make it out there. And a lot of people can't make it because they can't get the jobs or they're doing the wrong type of work on the street. So I worry about expecting people to do nothing and there not being a consequence. I don't know what the answer is. I just see it as, how do you incentivize people to get them in here? You get them into correctional industries, you're gonna give them an opportunity to change who they are and change how their mind works and give them some discipline, give them some expectation. So I don't know what the answer is, but it's just a kind of a red flag went up to me and said, well, that's a good thing on one hand, but on the other hand, So at that, I'll open it up for any questions that anyone may have, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you again for allowing me to speak here today.
Yeah, thank you, William. So, looks like first question, it looks like maybe from Danielle, or no, David Aiken.
Hi, yeah, thanks for that presentation. I'm interested in the lean and process improvement coming from the manufacturing world, and having gotten certified in Six Sigma. Is certification a part of that effort, or is it just a focus on the lean manufacturing and such? Or are we able to get people coming out with actual certifications that they can market themselves with?
Sure. So when I went through the certification process, it was a 40-hour course facilitated by Mr. Nelson. And we had to go through, learn all the tools, and we graduated from the course. However, in order to get the certification, what we had to do was a lean project that was proven to save money. And we had to implement some of the tools that we learned during the process, and we would get a 40-hour certificate. And it was a certification that you could go into a business and say, hey, I'm certified in lean manufacturing. I know this, 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 and this. What we also did was create a program to where my coworker and I would go in and do a 20-hour truncated course that would teach people on just kind of the basics of lean manufacturing. And we would give those to the incarcerated individuals. And we trained 300 or more people here at Calgary Ridge Correction Center from 2016 to 2020. And all those people got the 20-hour certification. Now, they didn't have to do a project on top of that, but you'd be surprised that how much confidence it gave people when we showed them these tools, when we showed them how to save money, when we showed them how to be efficient in their work, and all these technical jargon terms. We were able to go throughout the shops and actually speak in the language that most people wouldn't understand in the manufacturing. They weren't in the manufacturing sector, about process efficiencies and things like that. And those 300 people have those certifications, and they take that with them wherever they go. After COVID, the lean was dissolved, but yeah, I think that Mr. Nelson tells me that they continue to do those 20-hour courses for the incarcerated workers past the time of COVID at Airway Heights. So there's still a lot of that out there within correctional industries, but the certification's real. You gain some real knowledge because of it.
And I'll add a little context as well, David, on the question, and William was spot on with his answer. And lean manufacturing, lean principles, 5S is still the basis and foundation of how we interact within our various manufacturing operations. But unfortunately, it was a program that was eliminated, and I could be a little wrong on the date. I think it was around 2019. And again, it was one of those really critical, hard decisions that had to be made back then. But I think as most people on the call understand, CI does not receive appropriated funding for those programs. So the staff and the FTEs on those programs, and there's always that argument of, revenue generating, that you're creating efficiencies, but we did go through a pretty significant reduction of some of our shops and FTEs in about 2019. And it was during that time that that program was eliminated. So as William indicated, the legacy, lives on, and there are some of the staff and individuals that are still sharing that 20-hour. And luckily, Jim Nelson, who is the general manager at Coyote Ridge Correction Center, he was our lean manufacturing guru and definitely still retains the materials and the information. So thanks for that, William.
Jamie, this is Lauren. It's not letting me raise my hand this morning. So, but I wanted to say thank you for your input on connecting with, Amazon and outside people, companies that can help with transition back into community. And I know I have spoken with Secretary Lang and pretty much everybody else that, would play a role in that. But I want to let you know that we are working on something to be able to connect community with incarcerated individuals, and especially because of the RCW that addresses individualized reentry plans. And so to make it more personal and to where, everybody can have their goal, not just what is, available. Bring it to the person to say what is best going to suit you when you release.
Sure.
So it's definitely something in the works, but I appreciate your input. And, if you have any additional stuff that you would like to share, let Mr. Nelson know, and I would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you.
William, this is Jamie Dolan, again, Director of Correctional Industries. Again, just first and foremost, thank you for your time and your willingness to share some of your thoughts, some of your suggestions. I was kind of taking down some notes as you were talking. One question, just kind of going back to one of your suggestions for us and how we can continue to improve our program, right, to benefit the individuals that volunteer their time to work in our various programs. You talked a little bit about supervisory skills, right? That maybe that's a missed opportunity. While I think your comment was that it could be a little scary that, being the one to, supervise other incarcerated, I think there is a real gap that you're indicating. And because the reality of it is even in the private sector, when we put out, recruitments to hire a supervisor, what's one of the things that we require? Supervisory experience. How do you get supervisory experience if you've never been a supervisor, but if you don't get qualified, right? So it kind of is this round robin. So I think there is opportunity that maybe we could explore even some additional training. And I don't know that it would be a formal certification, but I know even within Department of Corrections, right? When we have supervisors that are onboarding, we have a supervisory course that we train them on of just general supervisory principles and best practices. And, how do you give an effective evaluation? How do you talk to somebody about a challenging topic that might be uncomfortable? So, just thinking through that maybe that's another area that our workforce development team can explore of how can we better equip individuals. And maybe the first step isn't necessarily, creating, incarcerated worker supervisors, but maybe it's creating some type of a program or a training that helps teach those skills, and then we can talk about what that practice would look like. But I just want to thank you for that suggestion, because it wasn't something that was on my radar.
Sure. I'd like to add to that during my time in the military, I went to a training, professional leadership development course, which is essentially the sergeant school in the Army. And what they do in that is not just teach you how to lead soldiers, they also teach you how to counsel them on what they're doing well, what they're doing poor. So they teach you how to do counseling statements, encouraging things. So if there was some type of quasi class that you could offer that would have your leads go into those positions, to go to those classes, just a short class to teach them how to do things like that. I think it may be valuable because some of the leads that are in on textiles is leads, the guy that's in the dryers here is leads, kitchen line leads. A lot of those people could benefit from some of those leadership skills in your shops, because the CI supervisors are managing dozens of people at times. So that can be a little overwhelming. If you have a proxy to do some of that grunt work, it may be valuable.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Any other, yeah, Ryan?
I'm Ryan Sadler, one of the assistant directors with CI. You were mentioning that some of the differences between class 3, right, the unit porters and CI programs. And one of the things I just kind of picked up, you're talking about, like, you know, work less supervision, CI, work harder, more supervision. And just from your perspective, but I know Jim's standing behind you, so I'll be careful. Yeah, it's locked in there. But just from your perspective, right? What differences do you see in the communication, the relationship between, let's say, that of a unit porter and their supervisor versus you as a CI worker with your supervisors in these programs?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a stark difference. So most of the class 3 jobs as unit porter jobs, there is little to no supervision because your direct supervisor is the unit officer. So the unit officer, as you can imagine, has a lot more responsibilities than just supervising their workers. They have to deal with count and correcting people and doing wrong things bad. They have to deal with email, all this other stuff. So their direct responsibility or mindset is not as a supervisor. So you have limited interaction with your supervisor as a class 3 porter. An example would be the guy that's the shower porter. He goes and cleans the shower, and he cleans the bathroom, and it's a necessary job in the facility, and it has to be done. But there's no one that goes and does a spot check on his performance. His spot check is really done by the other incarcerated people. They go and say, "Hey man, you did a good job. Here's a soup for cleaning extra good," or something like that. If he doesn't do well, then he gets the other side of that. So whereas correctional industries, you have people that you're working for as a supervisor. You get monthly performance reviews. You get raises based upon your performance. You have to work with coworkers, whereas class 3, you don't have to work with coworkers. So I see it as, again, it goes back to the thing that, what are we doing to help people gain those skills of working with someone else, working directly for a supervisor, expectations, showing up on time. Those are the things that are going to help people once they get out, that maybe were a drug dealer their whole life. Maybe they came to prison when they were 18 and never had a job. This is their opportunity for those people to gain those skills. And they're not gaining it as a class 3 worker. They may get a pay and do a job, but they're not doing any of those other things, gaining any of those other soft skills. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you, William. And if you happen to ever make it to Cedar Creek to camp, we'll use you. We'll take you there. Any one of my operations as you're working towards your reentry.
Jamie.
Thank you.
Can I add to, my name is Alan Phelps. I work, I'm the general manager. I'm over kind of like warehouse installation division. We do that program you're talking about, have what we call leads on job sites. So we pick the incarcerated guys up at Cedar Creek. They come here and they go do the job in the community, whatever agency we're doing the work at. And to your point, I had a young gentleman that started with this several years ago, never had work experience ever. He's 29 years old to this day. He's now currently our lead. He has grown tremendously day after day. He's been very respectful. He learned all the modular furniture that we do now. He is one of the leads on the job with the supervisor, but he's now training other incarcerated individuals to do that work. So we do that here in our division with installation. We have several leads that are on the job site that do that. The challenge with that, as you well know, when incarcerated guys tries to help another incarcerated guys try to do something, they get a little pushback on that. But for the most part, about 75% of what he does, and I'm not telling you nothing new you don't already know, but 75% of that, he gets really good responses, and it's how he's grown as an individual. His leadership has grown and shown, and he continues to get better. So to answer your question here, because we're a little different situation than you are, we do have some of our incarcerated, our supervisors on the site that are training other incarcerated individuals how to build modular furnitures, if that makes sense. And for the most part, they do a great job. I mean.
Well, and some of that has been the staff working.
And the staff.
Working with
Yeah.
him on how you give feedback, how you
Yep.
provide correction if somebody is doing something, incorrectly on an installation.
I can tell you every day, it's an ongoing, training. It's an ongoing process all the time. But it does work, and I see where you're going. I do have another young gentleman getting ready to get released at the end of the month. Thankful. I'm sad that I lose him, but I'm thankful he's getting out and getting ready to go. He is excited. He's got that training and leadership, and he's going to take that and go further with it. So I'm excited for him. He got a little bit of that. He's only got about 4 months of leadership training at the time, but he's not going to take that out into where he's getting released at, and he's going to use that. And he's excited to do that. So it is there. It's in a smaller form than probably what you see because where you're at, but we do a little bit of that here. So like I say, I'm with Ryan, come to Cedar Creek and we'll get you out here and get you started. So yeah. And thank you for your story too. Yeah.
No problem.
Looks like we have a question from Nina.
Thank you. William, thank you so much for being here and sharing. And thank you for your service as well. I couldn't agree with you more. I served about 8 years at the WCCW, and I went to school full time. I was trying to get my degrees and was just kind of up to my ears in classes for several years. And then at one point, I got a brand new counselor, and he decided that he was flabbergasted that I didn't have a job, a class 3 job, and he was convinced I wasn't fully programming. So ended up going and working in the kitchen, which was fine. But I did have to reduce my class load, and which disrupted my goals for my reentry, my personal goals that I had. And then I ended up doing the track program and ended up being a clerk afterward. And so I was able to see the difference between that CI job. Steve Peterman was my supervisor at the time, and was an amazing mentor. And it was just a really, really great experience to see those, the differences between those two jobs, and the support and the mentorship and the skills that you gain. So thank you for sharing and being here today.
Sure.
Thank you, Mina, for sharing as well. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but William, Tim Lang, and I just want to express my appreciation for your sharing your story with us today, and also for being an advocate for correctional industries. And wish you the best of luck in the years you have remaining, and what no doubt will be a successful reentry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, William, and thank you, Jim. And I do believe, I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn, Lindsay, I'm looking at you. Is Coyote Ridge next? They're coming up soon.
Titan mock interviews will happen. I want to say we're looking.
Could I have a word before we finish?
Yes, please, Jim.
With Will? So,
Yeah.
Mr. Wasagishik is very modest, so I just want to make sure that I had the opportunity to share with you while he's here some of his accomplishments. He did work class 3 for 4 years, went to Ohio State University, got an Associate of Science degree here. He's Walla Walla Community College for a business study, and he's 2 classes away from his BA. He worked 4 years maintenance for Correctional Industries and Laundry starting in 2012, 5 years continuous improvement clerk, 2 years teacher's assistant over in education, and he's back with CI now as a laundry clerk, and he's also a student council member for 5 years. So he didn't say that, so I just thought I would share it.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah. So I know Coyote Ridge is in the upcoming rotation
Yeah.
for the mock
Yeah.
interviews. So,
Also on that too, in regards to, he had mentioned, job fairs and hiring on the spot kind of thing. And while I'm assuming there would be some challenges regarding, you know, a large event, we do in the past have, and I hope he's still on with Jim in the room, have, along with our community employment specialists, have worked with individuals as they're really close to release and they're still with the CI program, to interview with an actual employer prior to their release that has, you know, potentially will just hire them right when they walk out the door. So we have done that sort of on a case by case basis where we can really match an individual to where they're releasing the community, and we have an employer who we work with, you know, on a somewhat regular basis. So it's a more case by case basis, but it can happen.
appreciate that feedback. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lindsay. Okay, so jumping into new business for the agenda. Ian O'Boyle is, I believe, also on the call, and again, Steve Peterman is here in person with us. So I think Ian was gonna talk to the committee a little bit about the track visit to Tukwila. So Ian, if you're still there, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Ian O'Boyle. I'm the track instructor here at WCCW and at Mission Creek. And just want to say hi to everybody, all the familiar faces that are out there. A lot of people I haven't seen in a while, so it's great to see you on here. This is my first time, I think, joining you guys for one of these meetings, so this is a privilege to be here. I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about a class, my last class at Mission Creek. Click on that picture real quick. We were able to take the class from Mission Creek and go on a field trip, so to say. The local 86 ironworkers were awesome hosts for us that day. This all started with an idea of, you know, this whole class has gate cards. We leave the facility, go outside and do all our training right outside the facility. What's going to stop us from being able to take them on site somewhere, or somewhere where they can see it, touch it, feel it? And I think out of every single person that the idea was brought up to, there was little to no pushback. I mean, there was obviously things we had to make sure we had in place so we could have a safe and learning environment and have a safe trip and just be able to make the most out of that day. And so with everyone helping out with that, all the people who signed off on it, man, I appreciate you guys so much for being open for that idea. That day was just kind of like the craziest day ever, but it was one of the best days I've had working for the department. I had 9 students that came out that day. They were so nervous. They did all their makeup and stuff because they were going out in public. They didn't know what to do, but they didn't want to be caught with bushy eyebrows. So we ended up getting into the van, and we left that day. We were a few minutes running late from our schedule, but everything was okay. But it was cool because I spent so much time during this class. We talk about these job sites that Sound Transit is operating on. And, you know, we talk about them like, oh, this is this, and this is this, and this project we're doing right here, this is similar to what you could be seeing out on this job site here. And just the trip to Tukwila, I was able to point out on the freeway some of those job sites that we talk about so much, so they could actually see it in person and see how massive these job sites are. So I think it was a little overwhelming for some of them because they hadn't been out in a while. You know, they've been incarcerated for a little while, and we're nervous, to say the least. But our experience when we got to the Union Hall, Eric Sanchez from the Ironworkers was there ready to go. He had I'm going to say approximately 30 ironworkers there that were in their, I think it was their 3rd period apprenticeship class that they were taking, and it was the last day of their class. So it was just like all around a celebration of them and the track class being able to be there in person for the first time. We had a little bit of a session in the beginning to kind of talk about the day, what they were going to expect to do and what we were looking at. But shortly after that, they got up and It was a little bit of a high school dance to get them to go and mingle with everybody, but they finally got connected. They broke out into little groups, and they were able to go across the work area that we had, that the ironworkers had set up for us, and they were able to climb the rebar, or climb the beams, the structure that they have out there, which the picture that's showed right now is one of our students that she's suspended 14 feet in the air right there, but she's tied off with all her safety gear, and loved having the two ironworkers in that photo right there, because it just shows the partnership that the ironworkers have with the Department of Corrections and TRAC. These students, they had the best day ever. And so being able to do all the tasks that we do over and over and over again, and having them do it with actual iron workers and not just me, I think that just really helped push them in that direction of, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. These are the people I want to associate with. And so I think that through all that, a few of those students are still at Mission Creek right now, but whenever I do get a chance to see them, they bring it up all the time. Hey, that was so awesome. I appreciate that. And it wasn't just me who did that. I want to give a lot of credit for everybody who was involved, who signed off on being able to do this. And I'd love to be able to do this again in the future at some point. Because I think that what they got out of it was way more than I was expecting. The drive back to the facility was very quiet. I looked back in the back seat, and I think there was a little bit of extra dust back there because everyone's eyes were watering a little bit. But I said, what's going on? And they were like, we're just so grateful that we had this opportunity today, because one of the students said, I've been down for almost 6 years, and this is the best day I've had since I've been 6 years. That just hit home right there. I was like, wow, we made a difference today, I feel. And so that being said, that trip was outstanding, and I'd love to be able to do it again, and I will work on doing it again in the future. And so any other ideas that can come across, the better, if it benefits the student, being able to go through reentry and end up where they want to be. That being said, I want to kind of highlight and give an update on a student that was in that class that got to participate on that trip. Miss Ashley Fisher, she released not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago. She's up in the Everett area, and she was needing to go to work. Not having a vehicle was a challenge for her, but she does have a driver's license. So that was a plus that a lot of people don't always have when they leave. But she figured out a way to join the trades, and she contacted our carpenters up north in Bellingham, and she was able to bring her portfolio that we provide to each student at the end of class, forwarded that to them, and she has now joined the Carpenters Union. She also started work last Monday on a job in Seattle. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's a water treatment plant. Steve, you might want to help me out with that one. I'm not really sure where she's at exactly, but good news is she got the notification that this job is a 5-year job. So she has the opportunity to possibly complete her entire apprenticeship on the same job. And that is not always what these folks that go through the construction trades class like TRAC or CTAP, they don't always get the opportunity to stay in one spot. So I'm hoping for a good outcome for her future, that she can complete her whole apprenticeship on that one job, and maybe turn that into working for that company for a long, long time. So she was provided a ride to work on Monday. Tuesday, unfortunately, she had to figure out the bus system from Everett to Seattle. She was an hour late to work. Her supervisor understood her situation, and her family members were able to help her out in purchasing a vehicle for her so she can get to and from work. So I just want to give kudos to Ashley Fisher. She's doing great. I just want her to keep it up. So that's one update. And then we have 2 former TRAC students that are at our Ratcliffe Reentry Center right now. Both of those TRAC students have joined the trades. One is an iron worker with a local 86, and the other one is a laborer with Local 242. Both are doing very well. Talking with our trades partners, they've got nothing but good things to say about those two women working out there in the trades and getting dirty like everybody else. But also at the reentry center, we've had a handful of others that didn't do track. They may not have had an opportunity, or they just didn't feel like doing it while they were here. But while they're at work release, they're watching these other two track graduates take the bull by the horns, and they've also gone out and joined the trades as well. So it's starting to rub off across the board. So I just wanted to thank everybody that's involved in helping these women get from point A to point B, and we're breaking down some of those barriers that were hard to get over in the past, and these women are thriving through it. So that's my update right now. Aside from I have a class going on here at WCCW, I have 9 awesome students that we're running rebar a few minutes ago while I'm in here on this meeting, but I hear it slapping the ground. So they're the next ones up to the plate. So I'm looking forward for their future. And that's all I've got. Any
Thank you so
questions?
much for thank you for your time today, Ian. Yeah, is there any questions from anybody on the committee for Ian?
Well, I'll lead him into something. Ian, what exactly did they do while they were at the Iron Workers? What specific tasks did they do when they were there? I'll lead you right into this though.
So yeah, there's a thing that it helps when you write stuff down before you go sit in a meeting with everybody. That would help. So some of the tasks that they did, they're all tasks that we do here in track, but we mimic what the iron workers do on their Hell Day or their orientation day. There's a test that's involved in getting them into the iron workers, and some of that is climbing that I-beam in the picture, making sure they're not scared of heights, getting them a little bit out of their comfort zone, but safely. Some of it is cutting with an oxyacetylene torch. We also have rebar time that they were doing and knot tying. And the one thing that really gets somewhat of the most attention is running rebar. They ran 80-pound piece of rebar on their shoulders for half an hour. They have to run it 100 feet, drop it, pick it up, run it back, and they have to do that for half an hour. And they have to meet a certain number of trips to qualify for being accepted into the iron workers. And it was just having Eric Sanchez, his whole team there with the apprenticeship, and then all those apprentices there. I think that just helped motivate all those women to just, yeah, I can do this. I got this. And so it was a great experience that they got to show off their hard work they've been doing over the last 12 weeks in class in front of iron workers. And a compliment that I can say from them is they said, I'd take any one of these women on a job site right now. These women know what they're doing, and they know how to keep busy and stay working. And so that's just a testament to their work ethic.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian, and thanks for the softball, Steve. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ian.
Yep.
All right. So the next step of kind of the new business was the McNeil Island work crew discussion. So Mina, we had a few minutes, and thank you for bringing that up. I think I did write that down as an action item to continue to explore what opportunities could look like. So again, I really appreciate you bringing that up as a, just potential new opportunity or for individuals coming out of WCCW. So next we had old business, so we'll jump into that. The first topic in old business, I'll turn over to Deputy Director Todd Cunnington.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so what we're representing right now is the 5-year comparison up through December of the last 5 years. As you look at those graphs, you can see things have stayed relatively the same. We have seen an uptick this year in revenue, which has been great, but with that, we're cautious because we've also, of course, seen an uptick as far as our cost of goods sold and our operating expenses as well. And so we do have As of December, we are up a little on the year as far as net income is concerned, but again, we're cautiously optimistic. Really trying to hone in on doing the core things that we do well. And as I spoke of earlier, with things like textiles and some of our other industries, that there's opportunities to reach beyond just our state and to be able to assist other states with their needs in order to, build more revenue and hopefully hold us in a stable spot, because it is a challenge right now with what we see as far as budget is concerned, and state agencies are being very conservative and holding on to their money right now too, and a lot of them are having to make cuts. And so again, just trying to really remain stabilized and finish out this fiscal year and this biennium strong and in a good spot. I think we've really positioned ourselves well over the course of the last 5 years. Some of those, Jamie spoke of this earlier, have come with some difficult decisions to be made about some programs that we just could no longer sustain financially. But we're hopeful that as we move through and get through the end of this fiscal year, that we have the opportunity beyond what we just do right now to possibly look at some other opportunities and some other lines of business and some other partnerships too with our education partners, and really just kind of build our portfolio, but do it the right way rather than just trying to throw different ideas out there and jump into different business lines. Really be mindful of how we do it, and that we take care of our money and be good stewards of the money that we do receive. As Jamie spoke of, we don't receive appropriated funds for our operations, and so it's important that when we step into a line of business, that we do so with the thought of it being able to sustain itself, get into that. So that's what we're updating.
Thanks, Todd. And I know Ryan talked about this a little bit when he spoke on furniture. I think most people are aware, as state government, we're coming into the end of a biennium. Historically speaking, that's generally a very good time for our furniture division. It's a time because that division ebbs and flows in terms of its revenue based on projects and state agency spending. This year we are seeing a pretty significant decline in that. We're not seeing the typical increase, and obviously that's tied to the state of finances as the general fund as a whole. So we're continuing to monitor that. We're continuing to monitor our expenses where we can, to control those where we can. The biggest area that we're kind of focusing on is, we do have some pretty significant areas of needed reinvestment in our equipment. You heard me speak a little earlier about our transportation division. We have a fleet of trucks that are well past their useful life. And so we are looking at some significant, $1.5 million, $2 million expenses coming up in replacing that fleet. And those trucks are both dry trucks and trailers, as well as our refrigerated ones that transport food across the state. So, again, we just wanted to share, again, at the end of December, we were looking at just a net income of $150,000. And to put that into context, by year end, our typical sales are about generally in the 113 million. So it's a very, very, very small percentage above what our actual expenses are. So again, we'll continue to keep the board informed as the year comes to a close in the end of June. So next topic we're going to talk about, I'll turn it over to Vicki to just provide a little context on update for our Dynamics D365 IT project.
Great. Thanks, Jamie. Microsoft Dynamics D365 has been a multi-year endeavor, upgrading our current enterprise software from like Great Plains 8, Great Plains 10 into Microsoft Dynamics D365. Currently, it is transitioning into a joint venture for implementation with CI and IT agencies within DOC. So what that actually means is the vision or the future support of this actual application in partnership with IT and more of like a technology-led project. We are under WaTech oversight as a tier 2 project, and meeting that current, governance process through IT. But the approach is the oversight project and then focusing on lines of business at a time. So last quarter, we implemented timekeeping system, which affected 5 facilities throughout the state. We're under policy oversight to pay the incarcerated, by a specific date and time. We went through a 30, 60, 90-day stabilization period with that. We've extended that a little bit because we're experiencing some Microsoft bugs in D365 and working through that with our IT folks, as part of the maintenance and operation project tasks on the project. And then January, we started working on food manufacturing. So food manufacturing has gone through conference room pilot testing, which is more of like a role-based. If they are a production supervisor, then they're looking at the production tasks in D365 and learning those standard operating procedures and workflows to be able to get into D365 and run those tasks. The next phase is we will do like a deep dive training with the staff at Airway Heights specifically for like master planning, production type functions in D365. And then move towards what we call user acceptance testing or UAT on the project. So this is more scripted testing that each staff will learn, out of D365, and then it goes back to the project team to test whether or not it worked. We're also experiencing like a Microsoft upgrade. Microsoft forces upgrades into the system, similar to like you would get like an install on your iPhone. You keep pushing that button, like waving the upgrade, and then all of a sudden you're forced into it and you have to, like in the middle of a meeting and you're installing a new upgrade. These kind of tasks for the IT folks, these are all like scheduled shutdown of D365. It's all coordinated. They go through a code package update into the system. They do some testing, see if there's any bugs that come out of the new upgrades. And then we reopened the live production system throughout, finance and textiles and now timekeeping are online. So over the next few months, we will work on finalizing some of the deep dive training for food manufacturing, get the folks in there, feeling comfortable using the system, working through their standard operating processes, and then focus on a go live date.
Vicki?
Yeah.
So with that, that brings the end of the meeting. Again, I want to reiterate to any of our advisory committee members that, if you're interested in a tour of any of our operations at our facilities, certainly don't hesitate to reach out. We're coming into the better season on McNeil Island, just compared to the winter, but we're always happy, and I know the individuals that work in our programs, again, always appreciate the engagement with external members from the community to share their feedback. So our next meeting is scheduled for June 5th. And in between now and then, as Lindsay spoke a little bit about mock interviews, we will continue to reach out to our advisory committee members if anybody's interested in participating on those. I know we'll talk about this at the next meeting, but we did just complete those at WCCW and had some of our advisory committee members participate. And I can't say enough about how impactful those are. And I just encourage you that as they move to a location near you,
to be in touch. I believe coming up next would be maybe Monroe and Coyote
Monroe,
Ridge.
Coyote Ridge are
Okay.
on the agenda for next. I can't remember
Yeah.
which is first, but yes, those are the two where we're currently focusing on, prepping the individuals going through their job hunter series and getting them prepared for the actual
Yes.
interviews themselves.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. So, again, we'll notate in the minutes that it's 10:41. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mimi, WCC and Coyote Ridge. So, thank you for that feedback.
That's right.
So, yeah, so we'll notate that it's 10:42. And with that, we will adjourn today's meeting and look forward to seeing everybody on June 5th. So thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.